Womp, womp, womp. Well, we've already had our first breakdown of the 1975 MG Midget, which I've been sharing my rebuild videos of. So I figured I would make a video, tell you guys all about it, and why it probably won't be a big deal. But before we get into that, I'm going to give a shout out to Hagerty Insurance, who is my insurer, who includes free towing up to 30 kilometers, which was just enough to get me back home. So flatbed tow, no problem, except for the fact that the driver could not take passengers. So that ended up also being a fucking $38 Uber ride as well. Plus then I left my phone in the Uber because I was trying to get out to meet the tow truck driver. And then I had to get him to bring me my phone back, but super nice guy, tipped him $50, which made his night. And now I'm left with a broken car. And when I say broken, not really broken. Let's try to fire it up. I haven't tried to fire it up since the side of the road, but take it out of gear so it doesn't go flying into the garage door. It's not gonna go. So basically, give you a little story before we go looking around, and driving, having a great time, and all of a sudden the car just shuts off. So I'm like, whoa, that's weird. But I was going really slow. I was like, well, did I just stall it? Like, you know, maybe. So pull over, fire it right back up, fires up, try to go forward, boom, stops again. And I'm like, well, what's going on? Because I've got a quarter tank of gas, or just under, like just about quarter tank anyway. And since doing the rebuild, I've put on 222 miles, so whatever that is, probably like 340 kilometers or something roughly. Anyway, so it shows no gas, but that's just because the key is not forward. If we go like that, that'll start lifting up. But anyway, so it's still going. Anyway, regardless, you can see I had quarter tank of gas or more over, and I go ahead, it won't start. So right away, you know, kind of into cars. I don't know that much about them, but I know enough. So I had the breather box on here, and right away after trying to start the car repeatedly, I'm like, when I lift the hood and pull the air breather off, like right away I'm saying it's not getting gas. And I know that because you should smell like flooding with gas. You should get tons of gas. So on the side of the road, luckily I keep tools with me. I pop the box assembly off, go like that, and it's bone dry. I got nothing. So I'm like, well, that sucks. So this is just like a vent line for emissions. Pull that out of the way. This little thing here, unfortunately, I didn't have pliers with me, so I had to pinch this with my hand, which kind of hurts the fingers, but I did it to pull the line off. So I go ahead and I get this line off. Now it doesn't want to come off. There it is. And basically, there was like no fuel coming out. So I'm like, So crank it over with the line off. Absolutely nothing comes out. So I'm like, well, shit. It's got to be the fuel pump. So, oops, put that on the right spot. And then I got to put the clamp back on. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the story. So I come over here, and I should have filmed this while I was on the side of the road, but honestly, breaking down is embarrassing in front of all these people because it was like at a busy park on the lake, and ultimately you got an old car, people look. Anyway, whatever. So I go ahead, and this is the main fuel line in, which is right here. So I pop this off right here. And there's like a drop of fuel, but ultimately nothing. So I take apart the fuel pump. The diaphragm's in good condition. Somebody's obviously done a kit on it. But there was a little spring and a clip and a thing that wasn't in right. So I put those back together. Hopefully I did it right. And I try blowing in this hose. I stick my head down in this little space and blow in the hose. And I can get it to, like, you know, the air's going somewhere, but I'm not really sure where. But when I let go of blowing on it, fuel, actually, a little bit of fuel come back out of the hose. So I Hook it back up. I'm like, all right, problem solved. There's just something blocking it. Fire the car up. Starts up for a second, shuts back off. So I'm like, what the hell? Take it off again, do it again, same thing. Then I decided, because it wouldn't go, the battery's getting weak. So on the side of the road, and I did have this jack with me, but I'm not a smart man, but I'm not a complete fucking idiot either. There's absolutely no way in hell I was going to put this jack under the car, this weird mechanism of a jack they have, and climb under the car for a repair. So that was not going to happen. But what I did do was lay it on the ground under here. And let's get on the ground. Sorry, guys. And right here is the fuel line. Let me just switch my hand around so I can hold the phone better. You undo this, and when you do, fuel should come pouring out of the tank. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that. 1 second. All right, now I'm in position. We got the screwdriver, and basically, when you take this hose off, fuel, because I've had this fuel tank off before to fix the fuel gauge, and fuel comes pissing out of here. But not last night anyway. Oh, well, now it is. Oh, just a drop. So, as you can see, something is going on because we're not getting fuel pouring out. And there's gas in the tank. Unless, like, it's just not enough. But I don't know how this is shaped in the tank. I imagine that it somehow... yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how the pickup works for this tank. So I was picturing that the pickup was blocked. But it's not quite as low on the tank as I was thinking. But when we look down in the tank's new, by the way. Or newer, but there's a bit of sediment in there. So I was thinking that maybe the tank just has some kind of sediment blocking the pickup. So anyway, the plan is to drop the gas tank and run that gas through filter. I got lots of filters from when I painted the car, so I got paint filters, so that'll be good enough just to run it through the filter, clean the tank out a bit, and then hopefully put it back together and get the car to fire up. So it's just, I don't know, because before, when I had this tank off like this, as soon as I took that hose off, it would pour gas. But hold on, I'm gonna see something. We're gonna see how much gas is in the tank. All right, so I stuck this in, which is just like a little hammer, and that's how much fuel is in the tank. So like, that should be plenty for it to run. But it was showing quarter tank. I wouldn't quite call that a quarter tank, but that's about 1.5 inches worth of fuel, which translates to that I've got to pull the tank off and fix the float. So then it makes me wonder if I just put more gas in, maybe it's not enough, but I put $5 in, like, you know, my little jerry can right there. I put that in on the side of the road. So wouldn't that be silly if somehow it's just not enough? But I don't know. Let me drop the tank and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so I've taken off all the bolts underneath, and up here, you obviously, you got to take off this right here, the main hose, the fill hose, and the vent line. Those both come off easy enough. And let's go ahead and lower the tank. I tell you, it'll really suck if it just turns out that the vent line is just like, or not the vent line, the fill is just whatever, the tank out, whatever you want to call it, I don't know what you call it, but anyway, if it's just shit, I gotta jiggle that, we're hung up here. Now I can lower this a little more, and so I'm gonna go ahead and pull off the wire from the sending unit. So let's splash some gas on the floor, just because that's funner. So I don't know anything about the design of the of how this pickup tube works, but part of me wonders if I didn't just run it out of gas and then you have to prime the fuel line, but there was nothing I could do to get this thing to suck more fuel, so unless I just don't know. Let me go get a jerry can and a funnel and let's continue. When I say funnel, I mean a 32-liter pop bottle, and yeah, that's all we got. So let's see if we can get this in. Alright, so now we've got the tank emptied out. It's got a little sediment in it. I kind of wonder if I'm better just to let it fill with water. I don't know, I'll figure something out to clean it out. Well, at this point, I'm inclined to believe I'm probably just an idiot and it didn't have gas in it, or enough, because I blew through the little tube and air comes rushing through anyway. So it's okay, because I actually had to open it anyway, because the fuel gauge clearly is reading on the wrong side of caution. You know what I mean? I want to err on the thinking that I've got less fuel than I really do. So we're gonna go ahead and try to bend the shizzle for the nizzle. I might have to pause you guys and find some pliers. I just gotta get this thing out of here, but it's not quite over far enough, maybe. Yeah, let me get something to pull on that. Try this. Come on, you dirty spiznatch. There we go. The ring off. So basically, when I had the problem with this before, oh, maybe. So if this is dropping, sorry, try to get this into view for you guys. This right now can only go that far down. I wonder if this is supposed to be on the other side of that. No, but then it could never lift. So that couldn't be. I don't know why. Basically, it doesn't drop down low enough in the tank. Maybe. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to figure out why the fuel gauge. I may have to put a ground wire onto the car and see what it's doing. Let me figure this out. Okay, so after my analysis of the situation for the fuel gauge, I found that this was actually resting on the bottom of the tank. I can't really show you guys, but ultimately if I put it in slowly and you listen, when I get right before the bottom, you'll hear it actually hit. That is that thing hitting on the bottom. So by my analysis, when that is sitting on the bottom like that, say that's simulating what it's doing, see that little gap there, that is still thinking there's fuel in the tank. So in my scientific repair, I'm just gonna bend that shit, and then we're gonna make sure it doesn't bounce. So just bending it a tiny bit. If I bend it too much, it really won't matter. It'll just make me think I have less than I have. That should do it. Those hits now are hitting this thing. It's not the bottom. So, with that being said, that leaves us not knowing if the fuel pump is actually working, or if I just don't know how to prime the tank, because that's a whole nother thing I don't actually know yet. So that should be good like that. And we're going to put our ring back in. There we go. Sometimes you gotta finesse it a little bit. We're gonna give her a whack-a-mole like that. And that is sealed up. That shit in the tank is actually on there. It doesn't come off, so it is what it is. It wasn't moving around. Might just be a little bit of pitting on the tank or some shit. So I'm gonna go ahead and slap this bad boy in, and then I'm going to put gas back in the tank, and we're gonna put everything back together, lower the car, and see if it'll fire up. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so as it turns out, pretty much everything I said in that video was wrong, and I say pretty much because I was actually on the right track. As you can see, this is some footage. I went out for a nice evening drive, and I was gonna go do some drone flying, but never got around to it anyways. I realized it was getting too dark for that, so anyway, I'll just talk to you guys for a few minutes, and then I'll leave the video going for a bit of a country drive for anyone that wants to just watch and enjoy the trip. But ultimately, near the beginning of the video, when I said about the fuel pump, and there was a little red piece of plastic in it and like a bronze or brass, I guess not bronze, brass ring and a little spring, and basically I had popped them in on the side of the road the way I thought they went. But then after recording that video last night, I decided to go ahead and take it apart and take a better look at it. And unfortunately, I didn't film it as I was on the phone. while I was doing it, so I couldn't film it. But I'll tell you that I realized I did it wrong, so I've ended up going back and fixing it, which was just, I put them in the wrong order. So once I fixed it and popped it back into the car, tried to fire it up, it did not fire up. And I was like, well, what the hell? Because it seemed like, you know, that air was going through it when I pumped the little pump lever on it. And then I got to Googling, because I'd saw something before when I was looking online on the side of the road about that you got to prime the system. So if you run a mechanical pump dry, and I don't know, I guess if the diaphragm in it's not that great or something like that, it won't self-prime. So the answer for that is to go ahead and take the fuel line off the carburetor and, how to put this delicately, suck that bitch. You suck it till you get a mouthful of gas, and then be a spitter, spit that out, and then connect it to the carb. I did that, and the car fired right up, no problem. So then I took it for a spin around the block, and it actually ran better now than prior to this. So my guess is those little parts in the fuel pump were already failing, because they're supposed to actually, they lock in pretty tight. So this has probably been something that's been coming loose or working itself loose for a little bit. So anyway, that situation has been resolved. However, I've gone ahead and ordered a brand new fuel pump today, and for anyone that saw my previous video where I talked about using stop leak in the shocks, well, that was short-lived success, as it started leaking again, and the back one has been leaking and getting worse as well. So the car's getting a little bit dancy on the bumps just because the oil's leaked out. So I went ahead and ordered new shocks. So from Moss Moto, unfortunately, or Moss Motors, unfortunately, with shipping and changing over conversion and all that, the pair of them works out to be, oh, I don't know, they were like $170 or $179 each on sale, US, plus $75 US for shipping. So anyway, they weren't cheap, but ultimately they are definitely part of the safety of the car. It's not something that you can really ignore. Obviously you could just keep topping up the oil every few rides or something like that, as a temporary fix, but ultimately replacement what was needed. So that's what's happened. And I only ordered the driver's side because only the driver's side is leaking right now, which means we can pretty well guarantee that the damn passenger side is going to start leaking. Yeah, but it is what it is. You'll see this is where I was planning to pull in and park. This is like Fort whatever. Like there's like a battle of 1812 or something here. I don't know. Anyway, ultimately the video looks a lot brighter than it really was in person. So not to say it was dark out, it was getting dark. So anyway, I wanted to at least explain that stuff to you guys so that you know where we're at. And for anyone that's interested, I'm going to be doing a kind of a cost breakdown, because I have a feeling that some of the people that are watching these videos either are considering buying one of these, or maybe they recently have bought one, and a lot of things come to mind, and one of those things would be, well, how much is it going to cost to buy one of these and fix it up? So I can give you a generalized idea once I do all the math on it, you know, cost a car, cost of a couple of fenders, cost of a bunch of parts, you know what I mean? So I will figure all that out and kind of do a follow-up video. And yeah, I've been having a blast with this car, and I look forward to getting, you know, many good trips out of it. And that's it. I'm gonna just go ahead and kill my audio now, my talking, sorry, and let you guys just finish off the ride until I ran out of memory. So kind of, I just decided to go down the country road. I like this Highway 8. I've drove up and down it like several times now, and I like it because there's never cops and you can actually speed a bit. So, because I've never taken this car on the highway yet, and the service road, I go to the service road, but it's a little bit bumpy, and this road's actually pretty smooth. So overall, once I get out there, out of the city into the countryside, you can actually gun it, and I, get up towards about 100 kilometers an hour. Yeah, I haven't even gone on the highway yet because I think I want to wait until the suspension's fully fixed up before I do that. So thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the last 10 minutes or whatever's left, and I will see you guys on the next adventure.